right. Good morning. This is the Finance and Admin Building Committee. It is September, whoa, February 20th, 2024. Present today, I have Councilman Hockett and Councilman Clay, appointed officials, City Attorney Paul Jensen and Finance Officer Chandra Phillips, along with the Deputy Finance Officer Holly Lillebeau. And we also have guests in the audience today that will be speaking to you as council. Chandra, this is your committee primarily. I'll let you lead out.
Sure. So first on the agenda, I have Main Day here. We sat down, we discussed this last week. Unfortunately, she has meetings the same time we have meetings for council. So she and I came up with the thought that maybe she could come to the finance committee meeting and you guys could make a recommendation on the council. Verified that with the mayor and he said that that would be okay. So Kathy, they do have a copy of your letter in there as well. And I apologize to council. I can have Holly Rengel make a copy of what you budgeted for this as well if you would like. Otherwise, it'll be out there.
It's in her council.
It is in your packets, yes. Kathy, the podium is yours. And Bailey.
Well, once again, we want to make sure that you all understand how grateful we are just to have the space in this building to continue doing what we do. I know we're probably one of the least spoken about entities in the city of Winter. Most people don't even know we're here and we exist. But I can tell you right now that the meth epidemic that's going on in this community at this point in time is outrageous. I'm seeing 11 and 10 and 12-year-old kids that are hooked on meth. I'm seeing them hooked on fentanyl. The marijuana is rampant, especially with the new laws that are coming out and everything that's going on with the cannabis initiatives at the state level have become another problem too because, well, it's okay, it's legal. Well, it's not legal yet, so we struggle with that. Our clientele has increased and our payments have come down. I'm struggling and fighting with Medicare and Medicaid right now at this point. Their reimbursement has been zilch for the last 2 months, and I'm still trying to figure out why, because that's costing us about $4,000 a month, just out of pocket, that's just gone. So we're working on that. As I told you the last time we were here, most of our clientele don't have anything. And if they do come to me, they're paying court costs, legal fees, fines, loss at work, and a lot of my guys don't have jobs, which we work on with that too. We're trying to encourage them to find jobs, and some of them have. So they struggle with payments, but most of my guys will bring me $5 or $10 every meeting to try to pay for their process. So accountability is half of getting sober and clean. In the process, somewhere down this road, I would like to retire. So I have been looking for 10 years for somebody to come in as a trainee and start working, and about a month ago, I got 2 phone calls, not 1, but 2, with young ladies that have lived through this whole dilemma, have worked through it with their families, or have experienced this themselves. Both are going back to college. Both need 2,000 hours on the floor before they can become licensed. And so that's what I'm going to do is put them in as a trainee. So you'll be an ACT, an addiction counselor trainee. They'll work underneath me for 3 years, which will give them their 2,000 hours. They'll get through school, then they can go get their license, and I can retire. A little bit more than I am now. So I will always help them, but this is the goal, and I'd like you to meet Bailey Serve. She's one of our new hires, and I'll let her talk to you, tell you what she's going to do. And the other one is Andrea Kent, who has lived this dilemma herself and spent a lot of time in places what nobody wants to be. So their stories have impacted not only the town, the community, their families, but they're going to impact the people that they're going to work with, because the best counselors are the ones that have lived through this. Betty, do you want to tell them why you're here?
Sure. You guys, she's awesome, just so you know. This lady's awesome. Yeah, I went back to school in 2020. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but Cinte was offering, they had a grant for COVID, so I decided, what the heck. So I went back, didn't know what I wanted to do, and then my dad passed in 22 from his addiction. And then I kind of was like, well, I knew Kathy, what Kathy did, because my dad had been in there, so I decided that that was what I wanted to do to help her. so that if I could help a kid like me and my siblings, because most people didn't know my dad had the addiction and the abuse we went through in our lives. So I kind of made it my mission to help kids. And Kathy is pushing me to do that. So I'm going to speak at a group class coming up, I think.
Yep.
I made a presentation about how addiction does essentially not traumatize a child, but what addiction does to a child, just because I lived through it. So she's been awesome. I have a semester and a half before I have my bachelor's degree, and then I have to do my hours, and then I can take my board. And she is so willing. She split her salary so I could be paid. So I just thank her for that, because, you know, this economy is so to be able to work with her and get the training that I need is just awesome. And Andrea's great because she has lived through it too. So that's what I'm trying to do anyway. So semester and a half, and then hopefully take that board.
Yeah.
So
Great.
Yes, so that's why we're here, and we're asking, you know, to continue our funding for the room. Anything else that you can provide would be greatly appreciated. It's not going to waste, and I can tell you it's not going to salaries, because we don't make anything. It goes to taxes, most of it does, which we all have to be paid. But the sacrifices that somebody in this profession has to make are unheard of. And Bailey and Andrea will feel that too as they go through, because the government doesn't see this as a necessity. Mental health is more of a necessity to them. They get the funding. We get $7.59 per unit, which is 15 minutes per client. They get $33.59 per unit per 15 minutes per client. So you can see the conundrum that we're in. But that's all we're asking for. Just remember how much we greatly appreciate. And the girls in the office were so good about helping us. We didn't have enough desks. You know, we're in that one room. And Chandra got us an extra desk. And we've got it set up so that we all fit. And we're comfortable. So thank you, girls, for all of that, too. We appreciate it very much. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Joe, you're new to the Finance Committee, so I'll kind of fill you in on what was decided during the budget process, and I think you heard a little bit of it too. Kathy refuses to ask for a specific amount above and beyond because that's her personality.
Yeah.
So she's been before the council multiple times asking for funding. Rent has always been what we've given them, and then last year in the budget process, council did actually add on. In the budget, there's $10,000 above the rent budgeted for this specific line item. So they are great. They're fantastic. They clean up after themselves. We have no issues with them in the office, just FYI. Obviously, one time I may have gotten a little happy when I went free shopping for desks, so I had a couple extra desks. So if someone's able to utilize them, by all means, that's better for us that someone can utilize them within the building too. So yep, that's where we're at. So at this point in time, it's kind of up to the committee to say yay or nay to take it to full council. I don't have it on tonight's agenda, just because I wasn't sure how this morning would work, but we can put it on the March 4th meeting with your recommendation.
So Kathy, thank you for coming, ladies, Bailey. You're aware that this time of year is when you request your funding.
Yep.
And I thank you for coming to us several different times, and at the appropriate time where we went through the budget process, and all budgets are tight. And as you heard Chandra say, we did allocate an extra $10,000, I believe, over the rent. So, and our budgets are tight working through, but, you know, we are glad that we were able to do that for you, budget it through, and I'll make a recommendation to the council also that we go ahead and fund that fully budgeted line to your department as soon as we possibly can. So hopefully that helps, understand your struggles. I think it's a good partnership, so, and you're doing great. Thank
Well,
you.
we appreciate that very much, very much. One of the other things that I've thought about in the past is, at some point in time, that maybe the city take over that whole department, just like Rapid City does. They do city-county treatment, and they're just one building, and they fall underneath the supervision of the city. So that's another option that you could throw around and think about, and that would give us you know, that extra ability. There's a lot of people I miss at the jail that I really need to get over and see, and a lot of them are local people. But I got help now, so I'm going to explore more of those options too, to find more funding too as we go along. But I'm just throwing that out there, something to think about.
You said Rapid City?
Rapid City. Yeah. Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, I understand the nature of your work through my past employment, of course, you know, work with a lot of same people, so I understand your struggles, I understand what you do, and it is a needed entity in our city. You know, you guys do a great job, it's really needed. I'd have to think about the city taking it over, have to wrap my mind around that a little bit, but hey, it's food for thought. Thank you. Thanks for throwing it out. Something to think about, but, yeah, I could sure concur with doing, you know, what we did last year, so it,
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know, I appreciate those remarks and knowing this. That's run underneath the sheriff's office in Rapid.
Oh, okay, so the county,
That
gotcha.
helps.
Yep.
the
Yeah.
county, yeah, would be
But,
county.
yeah, we appreciate everything. I wanted to retire a long
3
time
years ago.
I won't tell you how many years, because you then know how I am. But I didn't. I just feel that this entity is lost in this community. Mitchell and Pierre are the closest places for people to go. They're not going to get treatment. They're not going to be able to go get evaluations because they can't afford to do this now as it is.
And that's a dichotomy in this whole business, Ed,
Exactly.
you know, that's a
Exactly.
catch-22 right there.
Yep. Exactly.
2-0, we will place it on the March 4th agenda, and you don't have to be there.
Thank you. Because I got a meeting that night.
Yes. We'll be fine with this process.
Yeah.
And I know that you've received your invoice. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it till you get this check, because it's
Well,
just
I
a back
can't
and
because
forth.
If I had to pay that now, we'd
Right.
be in so much trouble.
Understood.
Yeah,
I have
it's
one
on
more,
my desk.
one more question.
Yes.
Did you purposely twin today?
That's what I told her when she came in. I'm waiting for Andrea's got on.
I thought that maybe you guys were getting uniforms or something.
No, no.
And then I was looking at the space on the lines.
Look,
Yours are short,
Yeah,
short
yeah.
timer, and
Yep.
Sorry. Had to end on a good note, so.
Yes, that's good. Thank you so much for your time. We really
Thanks,
do
Kathy.
appreciate
Thanks,
it,
Bailey.
guys.
Thanks for coming in,
Have a
ladies.
good meeting.
Thanks.
Item number 2, again, Joe, you're new today. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. We've talked about this multiple times. So room 1, I don't know why I put 119. It's room 117, so I'm really sorry. Room 117 is where Department of Labor has been for years and years and years. As you know, the state closed our location down. Department of Health wants to move in March 1st and take over. I see no reason why we wouldn't. It sounds great. We're not out any money. We continuously get paid. They want in March 1st. I sent you a copy of the new lease that would be there, and they're excited. They've got a gal, local gal. Right now, it'd just be one person in there, but she's working from home, and she's super excited to be able to have an office to come to. So she married a local kid, so their plans are to stay here. So as long as the state continues to fund it, I foresee that it'll be a long,
Did you have to
long
work
time.
with the state lease specialist to switch over from
So
labor
Randy,
to health?
not
or
Randy.
How'd that work?
I do have a specialist that I typically work with through all the other leases. And then there was a new guy that was involved too with the actual Department of Health that came down and actually looked at it. They're actually gonna buy the desks and stuff that are in there from the Department of Labor and, yeah, so it's worked out very well and very quickly because they just closed down officially February 9th.
Yeah.
So, and they've been in and out collecting things from out there. So the only thing that's left in there is some of their desks, which Department of Health is going to purchase. So
Nice.
this is a great transition. It came on very fast. They texted me or emailed me on Thursday and said, yep, we'll take it. I said, okay, well, at this point in time, so this is something we briefly talked about in cabinet. Right now, because it's a contract, it has to come before full council. I don't know if there's something that you guys want to put out there that says that the finance officer has the authority to enter into lease agreements based off of this main agreement, because you do that with the jail. because the jail is able to take in whoever they want to. I don't know. That's up to you guys. We can bring it in as long as you're okay with when it happens. We can kind of push it through as long as I've been communicating with you,
I
so.
think it's fine like it is.
Okay, perfect. I like it. I don't like too much. So, in reviewing the lease, and the state knows this, I don't know where the numbers came from for the original lease. So right now, Department of Health, or Department of Labor has been paying $609 a month. I cannot in any way, shape, or form figure out where those numbers came from. I looked through everything.
What are the numbers you have now?
It'll be $575 a month. It's pretty darn close, but I just want that out there in case Department of Labor says, you've been overcharging us for years.
Then they usually have a structure, a square foot structure for lease.
Correct.
Where does that fit into that rule? I mean.
Yep, so that's what we have, and I base it off of the square footage that we got from the school,
Okay.
and that's what I base it off of for all these leases.
Yep.
This originally started before I took over, so I just don't know where those numbers came from. So in case it comes up, I don't know that it will, it's $25 a month difference, but in case it does, just FYI. The next item is, we found that there were some meter deposit records that had not been gone through since, not 200, but 2000. And so we can actually destroy those up to 2018, and then we have to keep the rest on file. So, utility billing clerk went through all of her files, and they were alphabetical, not annual, so she had to go through each one and was able to sort those out. Just like anything else that we destroy in the finance office, we do have to have proof. Mr. Clay, before you ask, no, they have not already been destroyed. They are sitting in a box if you would like to look at them. So I would like to add that to the March 4th meeting as well, if committee approves.
I think that's fine.
Guardian Flight. I was reached out to again on Thursday from the new Guardian Flight administrator. The new administrator is actually from Winter. Her name is Chelsea Groom. She is actually, I think most of you know her. She
Fiance.
works different places and stuff too. So you've seen her around. She's been here for a while. She wanted to come today to discuss this with you in person. However, COVID happened. But, so what we have with Guardian Flight is we have an annual agreement for $600 that they could put a cabinet at the fire hall and use for storage for their medical.
Yep.
According to Chelsea, that cabinet has been removed since the middle of last year. She understands that the agreement says that they have to give us so many days written notice, which I have that in here. I have the agreement and her written notice to us. She would like to, she understands she has to pay for those 90 days and last year. That's not on us. But she would like to ask if she can have the amount amended to just the 90 days this month, or this year, rather than the full $600. It comes out to $500, or $50 a month, excuse me. So she would like to pay the $50 a month up to the termination, and then ask if the city would be willing to adjust the remainder off because they're not in there. I don't have that authority because the contract doesn't spell that out. So it would it be a full council or would it be committee?
Yeah, it would be.
Okay.
Have we verified the fact that A, the cabinet's been removed, and B, when it got removed?
I mentioned something to Justin about it on Friday, but I haven't heard any different, so.
This was news to me, that's why.
Oh, sure. Yep, sorry about that. So I can verify.
My question,
his
Paul,
call.
is legally, do you see any problems with adjusting the rent per contract with the 90-day notice?
No.
I'm not saying going back to, because it's on them to tell us when it moved, and they're not asking for that.
Nope.
They're just asking out, in the 90 days, stop paying rent then, and
Yeah.
is that legally good? We're good on it?
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Yeah, as long as council approves that, not a problem.
all right. I'm fine with sending that through, Joe.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
Okay. So it was the end of February that she notified me, middle of February, so then they would owe January, February, March, April, May. So they would owe 5 months at $50 a month. For 4.5 months, I suppose you could say. So we will put that on for March 4th as well.
Will that break the city?
No.
Okay.
Board of Equalization, this is our annual meeting that we have every year. It's the one you guys love because you get all this authority, but not really. Ultimately, anyone in the city limits that disagrees with how the county assessor has assessed their property value has a process. They are required to go to the county assessor and attempt to work it out with her. If that does not work, then they can schedule to come before the Board of Adjustments, which Board of Adjustments by codified law is the city council as well as the school board. We have never, in my years here, had a school board member participate. The reason that the state does that is because ultimately they feel that there should be, the school and the city should have a little bit of say, because if they mark it down, they're ultimately saying, well, we don't need that revenue. Because if you mark it down, that's less revenue for your school board and less revenue for your city. Now,
Basically, all we do is make a recommendation to the county commissioners.
You do.
Then they do whatever they want.
correct. And
But
if,
we make a recommendation.
and there's a whole nother step from there, even if the county commissioners agree with you, the assessor can take it all the way up to the state level and say,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, these are your rules that you set. So, I mean, it's a lot of paperwork for, you never know what's gonna happen.
So the 18th, we need to be here at 4:30 prior to
That's
the
what I wanna
council.
know. Are you guys thinking 4:30? What would you like?
Oh,
The
that's
last
fine.
couple years, we have had some individuals here. We usually give them 15 minutes is what I schedule them out at, but last year, I think each one of them took half an hour.
At least.
So that's kind of up to you guys when you would like to meet. We can go earlier, we can go later. You just can't have it at 6:30 because that's when your council meeting starts.
Right. I think 4:30 is fine, my opinion. We're
Okay.
coming in anyway, just come a little
Yeah,
early.
4:30.
So that, you will set that on the March 4th meeting too. In case you didn't notice, I'm trying to put a lot on the March 4th agenda that Holly's gonna be in charge of. so
March
that
4th or
she-
March 18th?
March 18th.
You will set it on the March 4th
Oh, I see.
agenda, but the meeting will be on the 18th. And I will be back on the 18th. I'm just trying to see if Holly's gonna freak out on me.
Holly does a really good job on the fourth.
The final one is, the Rod and Gun Club came up. Originally talked to planning and zoning. Ultimately, it's outside of city limits, so planning and zoning is not involved. So it is an agreement with the city of Winter. We had it on the agenda for a week ago. Unfortunately, due to illness, we're not able to have it through. They're wanting to get started on this sooner rather than later. So they're asking for an addendum to their contract that states that they can put a train cart, I don't know what else to
Yeah,
call it.
it's a storage unit.
Storage unit.
Storage.
It's on that property. There is a drawing where they plan to put it right next to the clubhouse. None of our zoning and regulations or buildings can do anything to it because it's outside of city limits, and we don't have an agreement with the county with any mileage outside of city limits. So they're wanting that in there, but ultimately, Mr. Jensen and I would like to see it added into the contract as well, that we are not held liable for anything that happens to it. It's their property, they take responsibility for it.
In terms of this would extend it out 99 years, I guess.
No, not unless you want it to.
The last time we did an amendment, we did not extend it at that point,
Okay.
and I would recommend we maintain the same.
You would just be adding the property in there. Shipping container, that's what he kept calling it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep, we all know what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that's okay with the two of you, then I'll prepare the language for an amendment and
Yep.
get it in front of council next meeting.
March 4th.
So while we're on that, when they brought this to Pheasants Forever, I said on that, I mentioned, I said, I don't know if it's in the city limits. Mr. Jensen, if we got a minute, I want you to refresh my memory on this. Do we have an ordinance in town that restricts the placement of these shipping containers in residential?
We do.
We do, I
Yeah.
figure we do. Does it change if it's in a commercial zoned area? In the city limits? Still
No.
cannot?
They can have them for up to a 6-month period as long as they get a building permit.
But not a permanent, it's just a temporary.
Correct.
And part of that ordinance states that once it's there for 6 months, they must, at that point, line it on the outside with siding as if it was a stick-built structure from the ground
It's
up.
going to stay there permanent, yeah.
I think.
Pardon me?
And I think a roof as well.
Yes. It's got to have a pitched roof and sidewalls on it within 6 months, or it is not correct.
Correct.
In commercial. Or in
Or
residential.
residential,
So they can place them
yes.
if it's a permanent structure.
If they site it.
So they
and
are
put a roof
allowed,
on
but
it.
as a temporary shipping storage container, we don't allow that. But if they're gonna turn it into a residence, a part of a residential structure, it has to be sited and have a roof on it. But you
That is
can do that. You can
Correct.
utilize them as a living
As a-
quarters, as a house or whatever.
I don't think a house, I think it spells out a storage
They don't
Accessory
qualify as a
building.
house.
accessory unit.
Just to be the foundation of a storage shed, but it has to be completed. Okay. That's 3/4 correct. Kinda.
Very close.
All right.
Now you'll be fully correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, right now,
Yeah.
but then I'll probably forget it.
I doubt it.
That's all I had.
So you have a specific ordinance that applies just to that, and there is a little bit of difference between residential and commercial
Yeah.
as to what's allowed and what isn't, but
I have to go.
that's, do you know of anything? I tried to push it through really fast.
Yeah.
Then you guys don't question me. No, I'm just kidding. Holly is here for the next council meeting, and she will be your next finance committee person as
Oh,
well.
I can't wait.
Yep.
I gotta think up some really.
I am
dastardly-
still available by phone while I'm gone. That is not a problem, unless I'm flying, then obviously.
So you
I'm not.
know that list
Is
of
January
receipts
closed
that we generally don't question?
The what?
The list of receipts
Claims?
and bills
Oh,
that you
claims,
I
yep.
claim
gotta
to bring?
question most of
Every
them.
single one.
One by one.
Be
We
ready.
want it.
Be ready.
No,
for
they
the-
did not get it fixed.
Okay. Gentlemen, have a great day.
You as well.
Take care. Good luck.